Today's a special episode. We're going to be hearing directly from business jet owners about the truths of private jet ownership. So there's a whole series of people I've had on BizJet TV in the past who are taking snippets of these interviews. Those of you that have never been here on BizJet TV before, and you've probably arrived on this episode here because you're looking at buying a private jet. Well, here you're going to hear from different owners, different perspectives, different uses of private jets, different types of private jets as well, from the small Honda jet to the large Gulfstream G650 and in between. So you'll be hear what their take is, why they have the airplane, how they use the airplane for business, what their take is on buying the airplane, the capital, the investment, running the airplane from on a daily basis, all this kind of good stuff. So I encourage you to sort of roll all the way to the end. Lots of information, lots of surprises as well along the way. And if you haven't subscribed to BizJet TV, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. And I'll see you at the end of the video. Off we go. Give us a scenario of a typical day where you'd fly your executives out to visit a number of locations. Talk us through the type of airports you go into and the advantage of having a private jet.
Well, the advantage in our world starts with where we are. We're in Cedar City, Utah. There's commercial service, but it's 2 flights a day. There's a 9 o'clock flight and a 6:30 flight, and those really are quite limiting in our access or ability to be able to reach other places. Mm-hmm. So if we're going commercially, we end up driving to Las Vegas. Oh, wow. Which is about a 2.5 hour drive. Yeah. And from there we start those trips. But being able to get somewhere in a hurry, the Honda becomes just a powerful tool. Okay. And it's kind of a hard thing to know exactly how or to define how it's used, because there's so many ways. But I mean, in all fairness, you get to live in a nice place. Yes. We live in a place here because we want to. Yeah, exactly. That's great. I mean, you live in a great place, and your people live there, and so you all have a nice lifestyle, and you've got the jet that can take you anywhere. So I mean, you don't have to live in New York. No, and as I've become more and more spoiled, we have lots of agencies in big cities and beautiful places, remarkable places. And people always say, why in the world do you live in, have a business and you run this out of Cedar City, Utah? Well, it's because we can. Exactly. And because we can, this also gives us, like I say, the means to be able to get anywhere we want to. From Cedar City, Utah, I can be anywhere in the West in less than 2 hours. I can be to Seattle in 2, Los Angeles in 1 hour 10, Denver in 1 hour. I can, anywhere in the West, I can be there, and anywhere to the Midwest, I can be there with a single tank of gas. I mean, we do have a limiting, but we went to Duluth, Minnesota the other day, up and back with on nonstop. We go Indianapolis, to Mississippi in our agencies there quite often, being able to go nonstop, and it becomes literally from the time somebody gets to the airport, climbs on the plane, 2.5 hours, you can be there and be home that night for dinner. I mean, it's remarkable. It's powerful. When you talk about how you use it to make money, there are 2 elements to that. One of them is you use it to make money to be able to be faster than anybody else, to be able to get where you need to go. And again, in our world, some places you just can't get to. I mean, we have agencies in Durango, Colorado, and Farmington, New Mexico. Well,
Durango you can get direct. Was it an hour something flight?
Yes, it's an hour flight, direct, or I can go commercially and take 12 hours.
Yeah, there you go. So 1 hour compared to 12. Yeah.
Or I can drive and take 12 hours. Yeah. And so there are some of these places that we have things called the Grand Canyon or Canyonlands National Park that you don't drive through. You have to drive around, and so being able to get into some of these places it's a powerful tool to jump up over the top and be there.
And all the pressures that you face in terms of doing things with the time you've got, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Indianapolis 500 winner and racing team owner Bobby Rahal says he travels to out-of-the-way places and, depending on commercial airlines, is problematic.
many of the races that we go to are not necessarily in major markets. And particularly with the unreliability of the major airlines, where they seem to cancel flights without a thought, or or flights are delayed, or with the hub and spoke, the weather's bad somewhere, you miss your connections, and then you end up missing, you just can't afford to do business that way.
Time is money. Time is money. It's what everybody knows and nobody does. Time is money. If time is money, I can buy time. Okay? I can do it. I've done 4 cities in one day in that plane.
Okay. Give us an example of your day going out to 4 cities. What type of deal you were doing that day and the timings?
I did Miami, Daphne, Alabama, little tiny runway, Daphne, Alabama. Got in the plane, went to Atlanta, met with Fran Tarkenton, looked at a piece of real estate in Daphne. Mm-hmm. On my way home, diverted to Atlanta to meet with Fran Tarkenton to do the Fran Tarkenton's the Hall of Fame Minnesota Vikings quarterback. Yeah, quarterback, yeah. I'm in the air. I'm like, hey, Fran, I could fly in right now. Look, when you have a plane and tell somebody you can fly in right now, dude, they'll see you. Yeah. Okay. Diverted from Atlanta to New York City, did a meeting in New York, flew back to Miami all on the same day. It's impossible to do that. Yeah. That would take 4 days to do on a commercial airlines. Have you ever? And was with my kids. My kids were with me while we did the trip. That's good. Yeah. And my wife. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever used your plane to go and pick a client up and bring them to you?
Yes, we have. Okay. Yes, we have. We've done all that. Okay.
And how do you think that has influenced the deal that you were doing with them? The fact that you sent your plane out to pick them up?
Dude, I had a billionaire on a plane with me. I had a guy just sold his company for $21 billion. We were both in New York. He was leaving that night. He was flying back commercial, believe it or not. Oh. I said, dude, don't bother, bro. Just sleep in. I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. I'll drop you off. Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. This has been the single best investment I've ever made in my life, in my entire life.
The worst part about our job, and really the only part that we ever complain about, is the travel.
World-class golf pro Jim Furyk claims taking the hassle out of travel gives him an edge.
It's not about saving hours throughout the year, it's about saving days and days and days and even weeks throughout the year. And that for me, for someone with a family, for someone in any element of business, that time adds up to just an unbelievable amount. And for me, it's definitely helped my career, and hopefully in the future it'll help lengthen my career. Traveling takes its toll, and even in the smallest way can just pretty much drive you bananas after a while, and hopefully this will give me a peace of mind and help me out.
I think it's going to be worldwide. I think it has to be. As more and more business owners understand the economics of it. I know myself, I wouldn't have got into it if I didn't understand the economics. And again, not the balance sheet side. What does it take to run it? What does it take for the depreciation schedules? I mean, I'm not a leaser of them. I mean, I bought straight up. I bought a brand new, King Air in 2007 and kept it till I sold it to my pilot. So I think there will be more and more smaller and more regional, and just for the efficiency. There's more and more women getting into business. I think education is critical. That's why I love your podcast. Yeah. And I don't think there's enough economic education on what it costs, and it doesn't cost that much. Yeah. I mean, it's not obscene to own a private plane. I owned it for decades. Yeah. And so I think that it's going to come back. I think it's going to take education to get it to come back. And women, you know me, I'm always championing women to make more money, go beyond your 6-figure income women, get to 7, get to 8, and come up and join the ranks of those of us who play. There's very few women who play at the level that a few of us play financially. Yeah. And having your own aircraft, I mean, it's huge tax benefit. Huge. I mean, I look at it from a tax benefit. I look at it from an efficiency. I also would say to women, when you really value your time and your time with your children, I can tell you nothing was better than my kids growing up on that aircraft. I mean, it was like literally my minivan in the sky. I mean, we took it everywhere. We had all of our things up there. The kids felt safer. It was like, a second home, and your pilot becomes your family. So I think I don't think it's ever going to go down. I would see it increasing quite a bit as we walk through, COVID, and we walk through what we're been having to be restricted from.
And look, there's not enough private jets in the world to take people everywhere they want to go. But for certain business uses, a CFO wants to go look at a site, or a CFO wants to go have a meeting, or there's a merger or an acquisition. private jet has become, the private jet usage has become very acceptable, and as it should be. It is a tool. It's a magic carpet, and it's point to point versus, the airlines will go here. If they have to go from A to B, they have to, you have to connect. Like if you have to go to Roanoke, Virginia, well, you got to, from New York, you have to fly past Roanoke, Virginia, go down to Atlanta. You're waving to Roanoke, Virginia. You fly down to Atlanta, and then you pick up a commuter from Atlanta to Roanoke, and you could, in that same amount of time and hassle. And let's face it, it is a hassle. It is draining. You could have flown coast to coast from New York to LA in that same amount of time. And probably in more comfort, because now you're not getting out of the plane, transferring to another plane. So
you're going to go for a bigger jet, or what's the score there?
I love the thought of that new Honda jet. That's a few years out.
It's going to be 3 or 4 years out.
I don't know. We love the Honda jet. We might get a second Honda jet in time. Potentially, I love the thought, like I said, that bigger Honda jet. So we'll see. We'll see in time. So we see the need for it increasing. We see the need for general aviation increasing, especially like I just mentioned about 5G. It's only going to make the situation even worse, not better, for airlines servicing the tertiary markets. Right? They're going to still service the Chicago O'Hare's and the New York JFKs. But if you need to get to, I mentioned Roanoke, Virginia, but there's 1,000 places, literally, not figuratively, there's thousands of locations.
During lockdown, were you still flying around in your plane or not?
We only did 65 hours last year. Somebody said to me that in 2020, we did 65 hours. They're like, dude, that's like 30,000 an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really look at it like that. I didn't sell my plane when COVID happened. I didn't buy a plane saying I have to use it every week.
Yeah.
I don't do that math that a lot of people do. You need to, supposedly 250 hours to make sense of the plane.
Yeah.
One deal can make sense of that plane for me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I've been telling people too. It's the deals that you do, and that's really the important thing. Now, how is your flying?
If you don't have the ability to get in front of the right people, figuring out how many hours you're going to use it, I believe is a bit of a mental, game that you're playing with yourself, trying to make sense of a plane. You either make sense of it or you don't, because you're not going to make sense of it dividing 8,000 into a certain number of hours to say, oh, now it's better than doing something else. You either want to own your own plane and have access to it, and you're willing to fund the pilots, the hangars, the maintenance, the insurance. And if you use it on one deal, use it on one deal. If you can use it on 100 deals, that is that much better. But like, nobody's ever in our plane. We the most people we ever have in that the 650 is 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And I violated that on delivery. I went and picked up 9 customers in New York, flew them down to Miami for an event I was doing, but I very rarely do that.
Yeah. Okay. So how is your flying going to change now that lockdown's event? Do you think you're going to be, because obviously what a lot of people have learned during lockdown is they discovered Zoom, and they discovered that a lot of deals can be done without traveling. And so people are traveling less, but they're still traveling. Is that the way you're looking at it, or are you still going to travel the same amount of traveling you did before?
Yeah, no, we plan on doing, we're going to do a European tour this year, world tour. And so we'll definitely use the 650 for that. It's extended range, so it can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, I did a $189 million deal at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And it required, trust me, I tried phone calls, I tried emails, I tried texting, I tried more phone calls. Please meet me. Please meet me. Yeah. And the guy kept denying to meet me. He was in Houston.
Okay. I
was in Miami. I told Ryan after he told me 17 times in a row he wouldn't see me. I said, get the plane ready. Let's go. We're going to Houston. And Ryan was like, he's already said no to you. I said, well, now he's going to have to say no to my face. So we literally flew into Houston. I called him up. I said, I just got here. You want to do dinner or you want to do breakfast? He's like, man, I'll see you for breakfast.
Okay.
He walked in because I flew in.
Yeah.
He walked into the breakfast meeting and said, okay, let's do the deal. So to me, that makes the difference, right? You can do the Zoom and you can do the phone calls, but the ability to still get face to face and close the distance between you and the goal or the target. And nothing does that better than a plane until we get to teletransportation.
Yeah, you're right. Because I mean, trying to do this with the airlines, and now with the disruption in the airlines where they're canceling flights, delaying flights, you never know when you're going to get there, the other end. And then you get your bags lost. You know, there's all sorts of disruption that's happening now because of this COVID thing. It's just air travel has got worse. And this is what's driving more and more ultra high net worth individuals into private jet ownership. Because even private jet charter is very difficult to do these days. Because you ring up to try and get a charter, you got to ring 3 weeks in advance because they're flying like crazy.
Exactly. And that's going to continue to be a problem. You can't get suppliers to build these planes. Equipment is backed up. If maintenance goes down, if somebody's sick at a particular facility and you can't get into the facility because everybody's worried about, COVID or Delta or whatever nonsense they're worried about today, then you can't fly your plane. So we're in Miami. We keep the plane down at Opelika. I know that I'm gonna put it down once a year for 2 or 3 weeks for a good check.
Yep.
Other than that, I'm gonna have access to it when I need it to go where I need to go.
So you see the value of your Gulfstream is in
dude, like not having the stress. I don't think enough people sit down when they're figuring this out.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to take 60 million bucks and trade it for a piece of equipment. I know the 60 million's going down.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know the plane's going to go down.
Yeah.
The plane's going to go down. It's going to lose value too. But the truth is both of them are losing value. Yeah. Now I need to make sense of, okay, forget the hours. Is it 8,000 an hour, 10,000 an hour, whatever that is? Mm-hmm. What me walking into meetings without stress, me not being frustrated and angry because I got held up for 2 hours, or because some flight couldn't leave or couldn't land, or I'm on a plane full of people and there's some idiot on the plane that causes us to have to stop some other place. Like, I don't want that on my agenda. Life is so filled with so much drama that if I can reduce that part of the drama, anxiety and stress of life, I think it's worth the money.
Yeah, because you got into that meeting in Houston, nice and relaxed, ready to go. Oh. The guy knew you came in with your own jet. It's just a whole different ball game compared to maybe some other guy was trying to do that deal. You were way ahead of him.
100%.
Yeah, that's what it's a peak performance tool. That's what I call it.
And it's saying that, I mean, to own a jet, to buy a jet is one thing, to keep one is another thing. And anybody doing business at another level, at the upper levels, they know buying one is okay, that's a big deal that you can buy one. Yeah. But that you can keep one and maintain it, take care of it, fund it, have the pilots. That says a lot to people about your ability as a business person to manage your life and your business and make it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm not a big corporation. I'm not Coca-Cola or Google.
Yeah.
So it starts bringing me up into, I believe it brings me up into a category of players where I'm taking a little more seriously.
Yeah. So where do you see the whole private jet industry going now with COVID and that? Do you think more people are going to get into it?
I think all broken industries are paying a price right now. Schools, you're going to see more people homeschooled now. It's a broken system. It's been broken for 25 years. People have been frustrated with the school system. So what? COVID's going to be like, okay, now we're going to finally homeschool our kids.
Yeah.
The transportation business has been broken for years. Look how many airlines go out of business.
Yeah.
How many people complain about getting on a plane, the stress again, the time, the missed flights, the anxiety, the way people are treated on planes. It's just gotten worse and worse over the years, not better. So COVID hits. All right. Hey, I'm going to trade money. I'm going to trade money now to get rid of that anxiety in my life. So I think it's going to continue to grow. It's an industry that is very slow to change.
It's very, very expensive to bring new ideas and new equipment to the game.
Yeah.
So I say buy the best plane you can, buy bigger than you think you can. Whatever you think you're going to need, trust me, go at least one level more than you think you need. You will not regret having more space at 50,000 feet or 38,000, wherever you fly. I get to fly up to 51,000 now, so I'm happy to be up there.
Yeah, because you're above all the airline traffic. You get shortcuts.
And I tell my pilots, I said, you redline this plane the whole way there.
Yeah.
You burn as much fuel as you have to. I'm running out of time in my life. So time is my most valuable commodity. Redline this plane, Mach 95 the whole way as high as we can go.
Lots of insights there from those various owners. So what's the next step for you? Do you need a charter or maybe lease a plane for a year or directly buy one? What airplane should you buy? These are probably the questions that are going through your mind. I hope you hop around and look at some other the content that we have here on BizJet TV. But I am offering you a one-to-one call where we can get really, really specific about your aviation needs. Just go to the Oroville Aviation website, and on there you'll find instructions to be able to book yourself in for a call, and then we can get specific and see what we can do to help you in your private jet, whether it's charter, lease or buying a jet. And if you haven't subscribed to BizJet TV, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Comment below, we'd love to hear from you. What do you think about what these owners were saying about private jet ownership and that? And I encourage you to check this next video, 2 ways to buy a private jet. Very interesting. And that's all from Fabrizio on BizJet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.